Hey guys, and welcome to Ozzie Reviews. Well, today we're looking at how to mount a scope. Now this is another segment of my beginner series, and I get asked this question so many times. There's various different ways that people will swear by, but once again, my beginner series is about time-tested methods that I've used for years, and I have no problem with it. Now, a couple of basic things you'll need to mount a scope. You need the actual Allen key for the actual rings. Okay, now when you buy rings, you'll get an Allen key with it. Well, you should if they're a good quality set of rings. Another very handy device that I use is the Segway reticle leveler. Now, another couple of things just to remember that we'll talk about very briefly before we show you how to do this is your rings. You're going to have different types of rings. Some will be for a Picatinny rail. Some, like here on the Ruger 77, come with the rifle, so there's already machining done so that you just attach the ring straight to the receiver here. Now what you want to do is you need to make sure that what you do is have that scope at the correct eye relief. Okay, that's something that people get stumped on, and as I said, make sure that the reticle is as level as possible. So the first thing we're going to do is naturally take the top part of the rings off. Place your scope on the bottom half of the rings, and you don't have to make sure it's completely level at this stage, but just in the rough area. Place the top half of the rings over the scope. And just start to tighten up the screws. However, don't make them tight. We still want to have movement in the scope so we can adjust it to our correct eye relief and level. Just tighten it down until you feel the slightest bit of resistance. So as you can see here, it's still snug, but there is that movement in the actual optic. Now, to actually work out your eye relief, it is a little bit difficult with a variable scope, because with a variable scope, the eye relief will change depending on the magnification. Now set it to the magnification that you're most likely to use all the time, or the majority of the time. So for me, with this actual rifle, it's a varmint rifle, so I'm going to use it on 12 power most of the time. So what I do is I actually close my eyes. I bring the rifle up to my shoulder, with my eyes closed, get a comfortable cheek well, and then just simply open your right eye, naturally if you're right eye dominant. Now when I'm looking through the scope here, what I'm looking for is to make sure it's at the correct eye relief. If it's too close or too far away, we're going to have a lot of the black ring around the circle. You need to bring it back or adjust it forward so you get that clear, full scope picture. And I've actually got it right on there. So why I say is to close your eyes is because you won't make that adjustment as you're looking through the scope, bringing it up to your shoulder. What you're doing is you're naturally bringing it up to your shoulder, you're opening your eye to where your natural comfort level is with that rifle. Okay, so now that we've got our actual eye relief sorted, we need to actually level the reticle. Now, using the reticle leveler that I've got here, it's very straightforward. On one side you've got thick bars, and on the other side you've got thinner bars, okay? And as you can see, they're different thicknesses. So depending on how thick your actual reticle is, you can actually marry it up to pretty much the correct one and find a nice level for your optic. So how we use it is very straightforward. It just comes apart, and all we do is with the flat bar here is we put that over the top of the receiver, which is also flat. Just put it back together, and we just simply use the elastic band that comes with it, and it just hooks onto one side, goes through the trigger guard and hooks onto the other. just like that. And the idea here is to get it level, and then you just simply look through the scope and turn it and make the adjustment till it marries up the horizontal crossbar with the bars on the side of the reticle leveler. Now that's pretty level there. So what we need to do now before we take this off is we don't want to move the scope any. So we just need to tighten those top screws down now to a nice snug fit. Now one thing you want to keep in mind is both sides of the rings, you pretty much want to tighten them down at the same even distance. So what I mean by that is on one side of the rings you don't want a gap like of that far, and on the other side it clamped all the way down. We want to keep both sides even so there's an even amount of force on the scope holding it secure. So now that we've secured it down, guys, you can see here it's pretty much an even distance between the two rings. Okay, we don't have an uneven distance between the two. So we know that everything is nice and aligned and nice and snug. Now the other question that we have often is how tight do you actually tighten down the screws? Now if you tighten them too far, guys, you will actually burr them, okay, and it's very difficult to then get everything off. So all I do is I just use the longer length of the Allen key like so until I'm pretty much can't go any further. Okay, I do that on each one. Now remember, as you tighten one side, the other side you'll need to tighten down as well. Okay, so you just go around to each one of them. Make sure they're right from there. Okay. So all I do then is I go to the shorter piece here to get more leverage, and I probably turn it probably about 1/5 of a turn, okay? Not too far at all, it's just to give it that little bit extra, just to keep everything nice and secure. Now if you want to, you can use Loctite, okay? Now Loctite is just simply a liquid that you just put on the actual thread of the screw, and then it dries and really tightens and is quite hard. Now, I honestly don't feel the need to use any of that. Maybe if it was a long distance precision rifle and you wanted to make sure that it had absolutely, minimal error in it all. But for just normal hunting rifles and things, I just make sure it's a nice snug fit, not over tightened, and it works fine for me. So once you've tightened the screws, guys, just bring it up to your shoulder again. Close your eye, open it, make sure you're happy with the actual eye relief and that everything's level, and then it's time to sight it in. Okay guys, that's it for this part of the series. I hope you enjoyed it, so keep an eye out for more to come soon.